In the beginning, you were truly a good person, the kind of good that doesn't need to say it out loud. During your college days, you carried more pamphlets than books. You organized protests for clean water, stood in the heat on the streets, shouted slogans, and raised your voice. You returned home exhausted at night, but your heart felt at peace. On weekends, you went to homeless shelters, handed out food, and listened to their stories. You believed the world could change. It just needed someone who truly cared. You cared. When you decided to enter politics, people laughed. The system will change you, someone said. You replied, I will change the system. At the age of 26, you ran for city council. You had little money, but a lot of determination. You went door to door. You shook hands with people. You looked into their eyes and made promises. And when the results came, you won by only 12 votes. 12 votes. That was all the difference. You saw it as a sign, a signal from fate. You worked honestly. You exposed corruption in a department. Some powerful names were revealed. Newspapers praised you. They called you a new hope. Your photos were printed. People started calling you a hero, and maybe you really were a hero. Then you decided to run for Congress. Now the field was bigger, the competition was tougher, and the biggest thing, money. One afternoon, you were sitting in your small office when a man walked in. Expensive suit, confident smile. He said he liked what you stood for. He placed a check in front of you, $50,000. You asked, what do you want in return? He smiled. Nothing. Just keep being who you are. You believed him. You won the election. You reached Washington, big halls, tall buildings, the smell of power. You promised yourself you would be different. The first call came 3 months later. A small tax provision, nothing major. This will benefit thousands of companies, he said. Jobs will grow. You read the bill. It was complicated. The full truth wasn't clear, but you thought, if it doesn't harm, maybe it helps. You voted yes. 6 months later, another call came. This time, it was about weakening environmental regulations. You paused. You thought. You had promised to protect the environment. If factories shut down, where will the jobs go? He argued. If production moves overseas, will the environment be better there? You fell silent, and then you voted yes. That was the moment. No explosion happened, no alarm sounded, just a small compromise, and you convinced yourself this was practical politics. Slowly, your circle began to change. Business leaders came closer to you, invitations, dinners, private meetings. They praised you. They called you intelligent. They called you realistic, and you liked hearing that. Then you became a senator. A big victory, a bigger position, more power. And that's when he appeared, the fixer. He entered your office without permission. Your assistant couldn't stop him. He sat in front of you like he owned everything. I solve problems, he said. You should have thrown him out, but instead you asked, what kind of problems? He mentioned your opponent, young, popular, clean record. What if voters discovered something concerning about him? You asked. Is there something? He smiled. There will be. You refused. At least with your words. But he left his card behind. Weeks later, the polls changed. Your advisors panicked. You were going to lose. That night, you picked up the phone. 2 days later, photos appeared. Your opponent was shown in a casino. Drunk, irresponsible. You knew the photos were fake, but the world didn't know. You won, and in that moment you lost yourself, maybe forever. The fixer asked for his price, not money, access, names, phone calls, silent decisions. Years passed. You kept rising, and with every step, another truth was buried. Then a journalist appeared, young, determined, intelligent. She was asking questions, the right questions. The fixer said, I'll handle her. You just nodded. Within days, accusations appeared against her, false but effective. Her reputation collapsed, but stories don't always end where we want them to. She came back, this time with evidence, with witnesses. She published everything, your story, the fake photos, the buried investigations, the fixer's network. The country was shaken, the election was close. Your popularity collapsed, The fixer called one last time. One final move, he said. Something big. Everything will change. You knew what he meant, something you could never come back from. There was a long silence. For the first time in 15 years, you said no. You hung up. You lost. Badly. That night, you sat alone in your hotel room when your phone buzzed. A message appeared. Thank you for doing the right thing, the journalist. You took a deep breath. But a moment later, your phone rang again. The name was clear on the screen. The fixer. You watched the phone ring once, twice, 3 times. Then it stopped. A few seconds later, another message appeared. You thought you could escape by saying no, the game isn't over yet. You looked out the window at the dark city. The story wasn't over. Maybe the real test was just beginning.